Hello guys, welcome to another video. Today, you can see we're on Hytale's website. I am going to be going over the big information to basically catch myself up with the Hytale news for the channel. And go over the big things that have already been talked about from the blogs. I'll probably do a video going over stuff that was revealed on Twitter. But this is literally just stuff talked about in the blogs. So, let's do this. First, the user interface blog post. First off, it shows that the three main modes that they talked about are going to be sort of the first things you see. I don't know if this is the very first menu, but I would assume that it is going to start you just on adventure mode when you start on the adventure tab anyways. And then next to that is minigames, and then servers, and then your avatar, where you can change a lot about what your character looks like. Then settings and chat, friends, and I'm assuming that's going to be your username for, like, your profile to show up. And I assume that everything about your profile is going to be here. And then everything about your avatar, where you can change what your character looks like, is going to be here. And then the settings for the game will be here. With this being the main mode, this being the official minigame server, and these being a list of servers that you can create for yourself or can join other people's unofficial servers. This is the main map. Now, I'm not going to go over this super in-depth because honestly there's so much that I could pull from this that I just would waste so much time talking about it. But I will link to a video that does explain this really well. As a matter of fact, I'll link to a series of videos talking about the user interface blog post in more detail if you guys would like to see that in the description box below. Because there's so much to unpack in this one picture that I'm just not going to do it. But basically, you can see that there will be different markers for some of the different stuff that's going to be important to notice throughout the world. This place is the location of what is known as the Temple of Gaia in the Garden of Elements. I assume that this is going to be an extremely important part of the story, just based on the name, the Temple of Gaia, because we know that Gaia is an extremely important character in the story, but I'll get onto that in a minute. And the Garden of Elements is probably just one small part of the Temple of Gaia. I assume that it might even be spread out across multiple different worlds. So that is what I can tell from this picture anyways. And then it looks like, if we take a closer look, there's definitely, like, objective here, then the mouse settings and, like, what those do, and then I assume that that's, like, related, yeah, your spawn point. So, again, I'm not going to go super in-depth to this, but you can see that that's related to a quest. So I assume that this is sort of one of the quest markers, but not just, like, I'm assuming there's not just going to be one type of quest marker. I assume that it's going to depend on what kind of quest you have. That looks like, for example, that it would probably be just for bosses, and that there's probably other ones, but that is definitely looks like a quest marker to me. So, close out of this, because honestly I have no idea how to... There we go. This is your inventory. It looks like... Actually, this looks like it is a weapon bench where you can create different weapons. And then this is your inventory. And then this is your character's equipped items and health, and I assume that that's a special ability meter or mana or something like that. And then spell power, ranged power, melee power, and defense. Then you can create lots of different weapons using this bar on the weapon bench. I feel like this is just a very small portion of the weapon creation system. For example, it doesn't show certain weapons like staves and wands and bows and arrows and stuff like that, which we obviously know are going to be in the game, not even just from this, but from other things that we've seen. So I assume that there's going to be a separate weapon creation station for bows and arrows and crossbows and all that stuff, and then a separate one again for magic items, maybe even a separate process entirely for magic items. That has not been explicitly revealed yet, though, so I'm not sure. Down here we can also see that there's some keybinds and stuff for some of the basic things that you can access, like your inventory, trading, I think that's what that's supposed to be anyway, your map, and your quest journal. Again, because there are going to be quests. Now this looks like something that is going to allow you to experiment to discover new recipes. So yeah, down here, experiment to discover new recipes while showing you all the recipes that you already know. So this looks like this is going to be sort of the main way that you get new recipes unlocked. There's going to be more ways than this, I'm sure, because I can only assume that you're going to be able to get new recipes unlocked just by questing. Some recipes probably will come by finding rare items in the world, so I'm assuming that there's going to be a lot more ways than just this to get new recipes unlocked, but that's going to be the main one. I'm really not going over this that much. Basically, this is just saying that there's going to be the classic set of item rarities, and if we go back up to this, it looks like that's going to be common, uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary. It's pretty standard though, so I'm not going to really go super in-depth to that, but it looks like there will be a rarity system, is basically what I'm getting from that. The next blog talks about the NPCs. I'm basically going to summarize this whole thing by saying that every creature in Hytale is going to be special. The Quebecs are going to be one of the really important factions that you'll find out about. Trorks, which are basically trolls. But then even animals behave in specific ways based on how you would expect those animals to behave. How, for example, they will protect their young, and some animals will fight in packs, some animals will go completely on their own, but that every animal has its own way of behaving. Then the monsters, which I'm assuming that these will, again, all have their own set of AI to determine what they do. But I don't know how far they're going to go with that. But they will definitely be dangerous, which is kind of just expected. And they will definitely add a lot to the dungeons. And here's some animations for some of these creatures. Going back to... I'm actually not going to cover this one. This one's just talking about Hypixel Studios. The FAQ. no date set for the game yet. There will be 3 different ways to play the game. Adventure mode, where you can play by yourself or with friends. The minigame mode, which is session-based experiences where you can test your skills in PvP and co-op. Probably going to be mostly like the Hytale or Hypixel server on Minecraft. And then the creative tools, which are extremely in-depth, and I can't wait to see what those tools consist of outside of what we've already seen. And you can find out more on the game page up here. Not going to go there this video, but maybe in a different video we'll explore these other tabs. First, it will only launch on PC and Mac. They haven't said yet officially whether they will release it on other platforms. It seems that for now, though, they're literally just focusing on PC and Mac. And it can run on Linux. There's no confirmation on languages. They will have username reservation at some time. The age rating they're aiming for is teen. There will be parental controls to some extent. They haven't decided what the payment type. They will have beta test, which you can register for on the main page and up here. Hytale is basically built for the minigames, but it also is obviously the adventure mode side. But as far as what would make Hytale better than Minecraft for minigames is that it was partially designed for it. That's not what they're saying, that's what I'm saying. I do think that it'll be better than Minecraft for minigame purposes because it was designed that way. Like they say here, it'll give opportunities for anti-cheat, optimization specific to the minigames, and more. They will not stop supporting Hytale or Hypixel. This is actually something that they said is because they are separate teams that they will not take away from each other. So you don't have to worry about that. They basically just built their team bigger to make sure that that's not a problem. You will not be able to move your stats from Hypixel to Hytale, which makes sense. Like I said, they're completely different companies that are just linked. Hytale Incorporated is the company that runs the server. Hypixel Studios is a new company that has been founded separately, specifically to develop Hytale. Again, that's one thing that's great about this is that Hypixel will still stay, and Hytale will not be taking away resources from that company. They're linked, they're partners, but they are not the same company entirely. That's what I've gotten for it. You can find regular updates from this website every week. This is, again, not them saying this is me. About every week they do a blog post, usually on Friday, but a couple of times it's been on Saturday or Thursday. So check on Friday to see if the blog has been posted yet. And if it hasn't, then just keep checking until it does. And of course, you could just come to my YouTube channel because I will be covering it after I look at it. Every single week, I will try to cover the blog posts. And there's also the other social media. From me personally, I found that they're most active on Twitter. I have not seen much activity on Facebook, though I don't even know that I'm actually followed them on Facebook. YouTube, again, haven't seen a whole lot of activity. Instagram and Snapchat I do not use, and if you sign up for the beta, you'll get occasional updates for with emails. Again, I've only seen one email go out, and it was to confirm that I was signed up to the beta. So, The trailer specifically does not contain a lot of PvP. That's understandable. I'm not going to go too far into the technical stuff. I will show this here. If you would like to pause and take a look at this, feel free. But I've looked at what really stands out to me from this. Basically, you can mod Hytale. It looks like, of course, that you can mod everything that you can see. Yeah, everything that you can see can be modded. And it will be possible to add a 2-factor authentication, but it's not mandatory. And it's built on a custom-based engine. Outside of that, I really don't know that much of what's shown here. You can run your own server, but that was kind of understood. And then, again, content creators. Basically, you can use Hytale announcement assets for your channel or stream. You can find assets from the media section, which I'll probably go in a separate video dedicated to that. And you can monetize Hytale content as you need to. Next, blog post. This one shows the weather system. I'm just going to kind of play this video really quick, and I'll be quiet while the video's going, and I'll let you guys see the video for yourself. But basically, it just kind of shows the weather assets and has more music in the background. It should also be noted that the effects were turned up quite a bit, they said, just to show what they can do with it. They won't always be this intense, so don't worry about that. That actually brings up an interesting question. I'm not going to go over this blog because, well, I will, but I'm not going to go over the music part of it. If you want to see these are both on the Hytale YouTube channel, so go check that out. The beta is still not been announced. It won't launch within the next few months. As of the posting of this, though, this was about a month ago, so take with that what you will. There will be they have not made a Discord or subreddit or forums for this because they haven't seen a need to. They are going to cover this in a blog post eventually, the programming and scripting languages. I don't know if they have. We'll get on to that if they did. I can't remember what they posted since while making this video. Since they posted this blog, they had already posted some of these new jobs, so if you're interested, go check out their website. I'll put a link in the description box below. There is going to be a creative mode. They do officially, I can say this because I've gotten my confirmation email now. You will get a confirmation email now. They were having some problems with it, basically, is what they're saying that. They have no official support to the game client on Linux, but it says that the servers can run on Linux, which is interesting, but it says more details will come later, so I'm not exactly sure what that means because I don't use Linux, but read into that what you will. They don't have any list of languages out yet, but they will probably somewhat soon. They plan on supporting the game for years to come after it's officially released. Yes, I, again, kind of expected that. This is in regards to the World Gen post, but with all of its features except for a few storyline prefabs. So basically it looks like here that the world will be infinite, but story parts will only appear in a certain area of the world. That's really interesting, actually. The video player, which is something they showed in the trailer, which I'll link all of that stuff down below. The video player is made for YouTube and Twitch. They said that they will give a new blog post to that eventually. I don't 100% know if they have since then. I completely skipped the World Gen blog post, actually. This is interesting because it shows that each biome will be, or each zone will be its own, but that they will also have different features underground. For example, in Zone 1, it's a pretty standard cave system, but in Zone 2, it looks much more crafted by some sort of creature, like burrowed into the ground, and that caves are going to form, but that the caves will be like this. Then in Zone 3, it looks like there will be another different type of cave generation with like huge ravines is what I'm kind of seeing here in the deeper areas, but no lava in the deeper areas, and that the top areas will be very icy, watery type. And then in Zone 3, it's almost like, or Zone 4, it almost looks reversed from Zone 1, where underground is very alive and like very nature filled, but the top of the world is lava, like dark, fiery landscape, which is really interesting. I would not have expected that, but we'll, of course, probably see more of this when we actually get into the beta ourselves. And then Zones 5 and 6 have not been announced, though it looks like this is a stormy zone, and the one next to it is a void-type zone. I am interested to see what those end up being, but we'll probably get those sometime in the future. The ocean will be a whole beast in and of itself. I'm not going super in depth to this. A lot of the details in this is related to the pictures that you can see. Prefabs will be a sort of important factor to how the game plays. Portal dungeons and different dungeons will, of course, be utilized in different ways. I'm assuming there's going to be quite a few different ways that these portal dungeons and story dungeons and challenge dungeons are all used. I don't know how extensive that's going to be. And of course, because of how the world generation tool works, there's going to be a lot of random weird stuff happening, which of course they're going to call happy little accidents because reasons. But this blog post I'll link in the description. It really makes me even more excited for the game than I already was. This was one of the bigger blog posts But a lot of the information about it is in the pictures. You can see how the zones generate. And if you want to pause at any point to read the text, feel free to do so. The model maker. This is a more technical blog post. Basically, and I'll hold over this so that you can pause it and see what you want to read. But basically, this is showing how the model maker is going to work. And what you can do with the model maker. Very extensive tool is what I'll say. You can collaborate real time using it, and there's actually a version of this that you can use now. I don't know where it is. I never found where it was, so I'm sorry, I won't be putting a link in the description for that one, but it is really cool. I'm going to just hold over this. I don't know anything about the server languages and how the servers work. I am just, quite frankly, not good at that technical stuff, but it looks like there will be, this is how the server listing will work. So it looks like they're probably at the server page. This is where the servers will show up. It looks like there's probably a search bar somewhere around here, with a set of filters, I would assume. But then you can connect to servers this way as well. And I'm sure that there's a insert specific IP here type thing where you can click on it and then it'll show up a IP bar where you can copy and paste an IP into that bar and save it to your list of servers and connect to that server. But it also looks like you can search the server list for the servers as well. And then you can connect to private servers as well, it looks like. So this looks like it'll be in this way, kind of like how Cube World is, where you can connect to a private server as well, and probably import a password. I don't think it specifically says. Like I said, I'm not, didn't really read this part because, but, I would assume that there's probably going to be some sort of private server / public server protocol. Here are some art. I'm not going to show the time-lapse videos, but I will show what the art ended up looking like. So that is Zone 1 Swamp art. Zone 2, aka the desert. Again, I'm going to... You can see how that looks. Really a fan of the art that they've had for this. And then there is Varen. Feel free to pause at any point to look at each of these text boxes down here that describes the art in more detail. And then finally, before I end off the video, let's look at the block tech. This is going to be really interesting. You can color using RGB tools. You can color every block. And here's a more reasonable example of what this will probably look like. You can see it kind of has a gradient there. You can see that they have changed the color of some of the leaves, but not all of them. I'm assuming that there's some sort of I'm not going to say slider bar, but where you can set how much it blends. So here the blending is not even existent, but here it's blending very smoothly. Here you can see that there's textures at the edges of blocks to show the transition, but in a very smooth and fluid way. And then this is integrating the model maker to add extra depth to the blocks. You can see how those look. I don't know why the pause menu isn't going away. There we go. Any block can be waterlogged or like put in a waterlogged state type thing where like fluid is going into it. The leaf blocks are actually not solid blocks. You can see they're not actually a block at all. They're in a block, obviously, but they're not like, they're more like how the grass works. There's ambient animations, but also look at when this guy walks through the grass, because yep, the grass moves away from him as he's walking through it. Blocks have different particle effects for when they're breaking, and that's what they're showing off here, but particle effects are going to be a very cool part of the game. You can see some blocks have different particle effects when they're broken outside of the default just poof effect. And then finally, the door animation, basically that each block can have multiple states that it can be in, and that you can cause a smooth transition from state A to state B, and in this case from door closed to door open. And it looks like by opening one door, he's opening both, which is really, really cool. But that's all I have to show in this video. Hopefully I won't skip as many blogs between this episode and the next episode. I also plan on covering the media tab, the game tab, and the community tab, so look out for videos on all of those sometime in the future. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. If you did enjoy it, hit the bell to be notified of new videos at this point every single week, but I'll have a video explaining the future for the channel eventually. And I will talk to you guys next time.